Let's get started. Come on in. And away we go. All right, let me do my share outs. Let's see. All is live here. All right. Two quick page share outs. Won't take me long. As long as the internet is working. And then I need to, oops, wrong thing. I'll do it to this. There we go. Do that, and that, and then a lot of people got busy for me today. It was interesting. Normally I'm not so busy, but I was busy today. And that's okay. You know, it's actually spring, and there are people who are dealing with snow still. Interestingly enough. All right, let's do this. There. Okay. Another beautiful day. I hope you had a good day today. And I hope you're feeling okay. Life moves and can be moved quite quickly. My last meditation we were talking about addiction. And choices. Life is all about choices. The choices we make and the choices we allow others to make for us. It's not something we always consider. Good evening, Patrick. But maybe you should consider it. What choices do you make, and what choices do you allow others to make for you? And how are you letting other people make choices for you? I tell people, when you're making choices for yourself, you're thinking about yourself, for your own self. When you allow others to make choices for you, it's by influence. Well, hello, Josh. It's good to see you. I hope you're having an amazing evening also. People have choices made for them. By allowing themselves to be influenced, it can be environmental, it can be verbally, behaviorally. When we're kids, we are influenced by many things, and our choices are made for us by influencing us by guilt, shame, or logic. Whatever the means, it's influence. Now, when we're kids, of course, we're hoping that our parents are trying to steer us right in getting us ready for life by influencing us. But those influences back then carry through to now. In how we cope with life and how we work with our lives. If we've allowed ourselves to be, well, when we're kids, we allow ourselves to be manipulated. Our choices are manipulated by many things. But when we get older, we have the choice to undo that. It's whether we realize, and it's whether we want to. As children, whatever our parents' motivation is what we carry through with. But life goes forward, and as adults, we have to look at what our parents were doing and what we're doing now. Escapism, not necessarily doing things that are helpful to ourselves. It becomes the question, what do we do that can help us? So tonight we're going to work on getting rid of those barriers that keep us from making our own decisions. So go ahead and relax. As I always say, behind me, it may be a green screen, but behind that is a chair. And I actually lean up against that chair. So relax. Take a deep breath. It's important to breathe, and it is important to relax. Once you've relaxed a little bit, taken a breath or two, allow yourself to visualize a line going down into earth from either your buttocks or your feet. And this line carries energy down into the earth. Any energy that you so deem that you want to go down and leave you. It's your way of getting rid of negatives that you don't want in you at the moment. So start a flow of your energy down into the line. It can come from any source. You don't have to recognize it for it to flow down into the earth. And let any energy about when you were younger, when you were in your teens, and when you were little, toddler, let any energy from when you were a toddler and you were influenced into behaving a specific way that does not ring true now, join the flow down into earth. And let any energy about how you were taught to deal with stress when you were a child. Join the flow down into the earth. Your parents probably told you one thing, but how did they deal with their stress? And did you see that? When we're taught to deal with stress, if we're taught or told to do one thing, but we see others dealing with stress another, that can be a conflict. Let that conflict join the flow down into the earth. Many times parents will tell you, well, you need to talk it out, and you need to find good ways of dealing with it. But they themselves may do things like drink or smoke or do drugs or become abusive. And let those messages of how they dealt with their stress join the flow down into the earth. And let any energy about how that affected you and how you deal with stress, and let that join the flow down into earth. Our parents are never perfect. As much as they try, knowing that they may have influenced you in a negative manner does not mean you love them any less. But you need to see where your behavior comes from. And let that feeling of understanding join the flow down into the earth. It starts there. And then as we get older, we see other kids in our teens, how they deal with stress. And we mimic them. They're older than us, or they're the cool ones. And how they deal with stress, we figure, is the way to deal with it. And let that join the flow down into the earth. Especially if our parents do somewhat the same thing. And then as we get older yet, when we're done with school and we start living in life, that's where the stress comes. That's where life stress comes. And let any energy about how life stresses have made you make your choices negatively. And let that join the flow down into the earth. I saw many guys go into the military who didn't smoke. who really didn't drink. And within a matter of months, we're doing both. Stress and responsibility. If you don't understand how to positively deal with those emotions, they can affect you in a very negative way. And you end up making negative choices. And let those negative choices flow down into the earth. Let any energy from the last couple days and all those negative feelings join the flow down into the earth. Many things that we do start when we are young. We may become adults and live adult lives. But our choices start when we are little. How we deal with our emotions are influenced. How we deal with our stress is influenced. We have a choice as we get older to change how we deal. It takes work, but you can change. The first steps all come down to recognizing how you deal with stress and burden and responsibility have become a negative impact. And if they have, let those negatives join the flow down into earth. Once you recognize that the way you deal with things may not be what is helpful for you, that's the first step. Everybody, we've all seen people that we can sit there and go, wow, the person sits there and you can throw horrible things at them and they'll just go, oh, it's okay, I'll deal with it. And you sit there and you may make fun of them, but inside you're going, damn, I wish I could do that. They got that way not because they were born that way, but because they learned. Truly taking care of one's stress and anxieties and burdens and responsibilities isn't about suppressing them and going, oh, it's okay. It's about dealing with it at the time so it doesn't keep following you. And dealing with it is sometimes the problem. How do you deal with it? Me personally, I talk. I talk it through. Even if I'm just talking to myself. because I have to let it play out in my head. And then I take a breath. And I go on. I deal with it as quick as possible in the most appropriate time, so that it doesn't linger over my head. It doesn't interfere with my thoughts, and it doesn't interfere with the way I do things. I manage to keep things flowing forward positively. And when I say that, it doesn't mean I don't have negative times. And I don't have negative thoughts. And I don't have negative things that don't happen to me. I'm just not willing to let it take over my life. And what I do doesn't mean that's the way you would deal with it. But the one thing I do know is holding it in is never a good thing. Holding things in always leads to a very bad event, or many bad events, because it builds. So let any negatives that are building in you right now join the flow down into the earth. Being able to let go helps you understand your life as it really is moving, and helps you make better choices, because you can see a lot better without negatives swirling around in your head. The angers, the responsibility and burdens that just infuriate or frustrate you. They go away. They don't push. So that you can make better decisions. Ones that you're more confident in. And like the outcomes better. Breathe. Life is never perfect. And every decision you make is not going to be perfect. But let your decisions be your decisions, and not ones that were influenced, especially if it comes from your childhood. I look back at my childhood, and I, with adult eyes, can see my parents. And I know the reasoning they did what they did. And I have to apply it to my life now. And decide what does apply and what was then. And how I interpreted it. As children, we can misinterpret. Let any energy about how your childhood has influenced you as an adult, and let that join the flow down into the earth. It doesn't have to keep influencing you. The negatives don't have to influence you the rest of your life, unless you let them. Take a breath. You will be okay. You are not judged here. Nobody in this room is here to harm you. Let any remaining negative influences join the flow down into the earth. Again, you don't have to recognize them for them to flow down into the earth. And once all of that has flowed down into the earth, stop the flow of your energy to the earth. Bring back in your lines and take a breath. And let yourself be quiet. Life will always move forward. It is your choice how you adapt to that. It is your choice the way you look at your life. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming. I do appreciate it. I will be on again, hopefully, Saturday on Facebook. And then Sunday on YouTube. If you like what you see, hear, and feel, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you know anybody who could use a meditation, please let them know. Until then, remember, keep it simple, keep it real, and remember to smile, because you don't know who you're going to help, including your own self. I love every one of you, and I'll see you Saturday.